Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to the alpha for Warhammer 40k, Dark Heresy, as today our investigation continues. Sadly, the local leader was a bit barren on the details, but we've still got a few leads to pursue. Not the least of which is, of course, getting bogged down in the details, treading water, as it were. But of course, before we get into that, we've also got Larthir's thing on tap. I mean, the guy might have an attitude, but obviously we're still going to do it. He may not think much of our arrangement, but I'm more than happy to shame him by actually upholding my side. Also, I did swing by the Sisters' camp between episodes. Did some quick trading, but unfortunately there really wasn't much that we've unlocked yet that was worth purchasing. So I really just ended up dropping a few cents on extra utility items. Grenades, medkits, multi-keys, melt-a-bombs, etc. Just to make sure we don't run out again. Oh, you know, we should also swing by Millie while we're here. See how she's liking her new Ogren. I'm sure she's thrilled. Or she's completely MIA. Her and her helpers. Though they might be down near the camp. Let's have a peek. Huh. Getting some weird graphical glitches. I need the place where we first met. That is where I will perform the final ritual. And no Millicentilia down here either. Oh. I don't like this quiet, or the complete absence of the Inquisitor and traces of her. The Inquisitor decided to leave the excavation site? Strange. Very strange. So this is definitely deliberate. You know, a less trusting person might suspect that we're about to be attacked. Larthir? Larthir looks around as if to confirm that everything is in place. Do not disturb me whilst I am listening to the Imperium. Just like the last time, it is fraught with peril for you and your kind. Just give me a little time. Well, hey there. What an unexpected surprise. Well, well. An agent of the Inquisition at the scene of the crime, aiding and abetting enemies of humanity. The stranger toys with his weapon, his gaze burning into you. Sister Septima turns her back, and you and the remnants of your heretical cabal are up to your necks in heresy. Fortunately, some of his faithful servants still remain in Merisportum, and we are ready to destroy corruption and its apologists. Damn, I saw this one in the crowd back in Merisportum. Thought he was better dressed than the rest of the gawkers near those hovels. I should have known he was one of Septima's spies. Alright, listen up. I'll say this once and only out of professional courtesy. Peer-to-peer, from one defender of humanity to another. Like it or not, this Aldari is assisting with our investigation. Lower your guns and walk away. Otherwise, I'll be forced to assume that you're enemies of the Inquisition. And that won't end well. All you weak-minded vermin are the same. There is no salvation in heresy. And there never will be. God Emperor, strike down our enemies! Well, seems like Septima's losing a few more of her people. Yeah, kind of a recurring trend, that. Oof. Though these guys are no pushovers. All killers, no fillers. Not a single mook in sight. Alright, okay. Let's make sure we... Oh man, we really flubbed that early initiative. Also, what's going on with you, Lar? Are you still doing the ritual while we're right in the middle of a fight? Because I feel like you could have held off for a few seconds, bud. What's going on here? Concentration on the ritual full. Which... Wait. Larthir's morale is always 0. Whenever a unit moves into a hazard zone around Larthir or starts their turn there, it suffers 10 to 12 damage. While Larthir is concentrated, he can use psychic powers, disregarding range and line of sight. He cannot move, make weapon attacks, or use consumables. He can disrupt his concentration and use psi emission. Whenever Larthir's concentration is disrupted, a psi emission is triggered automatically. Once his concentration is disrupted for the 3rd time, Larthir suffers disrupted ritual. Oh boy. Okay, so we don't just have to keep him alive, we have to keep him from being interrupted too much. Which also technically means we're partially one man down. I mean, he can still contribute, but not as actively as we might normally use him. Alright, okay, well, with that in mind, and our 5 remaining defenders, let's have Cog drop the hammer. We'll have a peony light up their back liners. I guess we'll tuck Sorrow up top with Akko. I'm still trying to get used to a lot of the ins and outs of the new revised combat systems, so we really want to leverage what kind of worked last time. Given the general health pools we're seeing here, demoralizing will be particularly important. Oh wow, yeah, and they're wasting no time. They're going right for Lar. That's an arm shot, which will be our first disruption if it hits. Lar is up. He does get 4 AP. And we do still have an attack on tap. We have a sail, which I believe also potentially disrupts. Okay, let's do this. Guiding Light on Cog. Telekinetic Barrier, it's not much, but we'll take what we can get. Things are apt to get a bit rough. A sail on one of the 2 guys focusing. I'd say probably the shooter. Yes, okay, that disrupted. Grenade's still set to go off, but we've got a peony right before it, so if we're lucky, she might be able to stop that as well. But that'll come down to RNG. Right, nice. Didn't stop him, but did disarm him in passing. Oh, and reinforcements. Okay, well, that's a potential problem. But not one I think we need to worry about just yet. We kind of got our hands full. So let's lay down suppressing fire. Actually, no. It might be easier to fit our shoddy in there instead. AoE is going to be tricky with all these friendlies. Yeah, alright, that works. Ah, but no disrupt. Alright, fair enough. I mean, this is gonna hurt you just as much as it hurts me. Ooh, boy. Actually, it hurt me slightly more, since I've got inherently lower numbers. But we are still standing, if just barely. Whew, boy. Suppressing fire. And stoke the flames. Thankfully, no enemy flamers this time, so it's much easier to avoid friendly fire. Echo up. Hold tight, Sar. Let me get that for you. And let's lay down more support. Go for Demoral victory. And Haymar. Well, my original plan was to have you gun down the guy on our flank, but that's obviously not going to work now, not unless we want to catch Lar in the firing cone. Oh yeah, especially with a peony where we left her as well. Though we might be able to fit something in here. Let's see. Let's work the angles. Right, so obviously that's not ideal. What about from over here? You know what? That's still not ideal, but it is better. Hey! Okay, that will absolutely do it. Haymar, my man. Enemy squad leader out. Cog, let's get you spinning. This cog's got teeth. Nice, nice. Yeah, they are hemorrhaging morale now. Once you get into the negatives, it does kind of start to cascade. That's really something we need to make more use of. Larthier back up. No focus moves this time, aside from the reinforcements, but at this point I'm actually feeling pretty good about this, so I don't mind if he maybe calls a few extras in. We'll stay focused on clearing the closer targets. Yeah, not much for damage, but that one's good for debuffing and disrupting. We'll have to keep that in mind too. Ow. Oh, okay. So no reinforcements just yet. I guess it's a multi-step process. Fair enough. Gives us time to wrap things up over here. Let's tag these two. This should demoralize the further gunner. Or just outright kill him. Either way, it gets it done. Double tap. Or twice baked, perhaps. Nice, nice. One gunner out, the other on his way. Double down, finish him off. A bit excessive, but, you know, the guy fully dying should hopefully demoralize his friends. Yeah, they took a -3 hit on that. Let's go ahead and tap the other one out. Nice. Madness. Interesting. Oh. Right. Wow. Okay. Unexpected bonus. Let's focus down that melee guy on Lar. I think that's our biggest threat at this point. Killshot has no chance of friendly fire, so we can now safely mulch him. And then, in theory, we might actually have enough to another shot right after. Though I'd be a bit harder pressed to figure where we could actually fit that in. And flanker out, my goodness. Nicely done, Seymore. And then he's up right after Echo as well, so at that point... Yes, okay. The only other guy on the field is the one who's calling for reinforcements, so we don't have to worry about him just yet. We'll hammer this one out. Oh, okay. Well, that slows us down a bit, but not too much. Seymore, you want to weigh in here, bud? Yes, perfect. You know what? Less effective than the kill shot, but I think we can live with that. Now Cog can finish him off. He's already at -7, so likely demoralized rather than dead. Nope. Fell 1 point short, but that's fine. Actually, we might be able to leverage that as well. Reinforcements on site. Slightly softer targets. Closer than I thought. Let's go ahead and neutralize the hammer, bro. Oh, wait, was he? I think he was... I guess he was maybe already out, but now he's extra out. Hold on now. Okay, alright, look, one wave of reinforcements was fine, but let's not have that. No more faffing about. Let's fry these guys and shut this down. Suppressing fire. Sets up for sorrow. Nice. Nice. Grenade. Not too worried about that. Let's keep piling on. Oh, assuming we can get close enough. Yeah, we should probably get outside of Lars' influence anyway, just in case. Alright, too far for that one, but we can still do this. Sorry, bud. I appreciate you stopped, but you should have also dropped and rolled. Grenade disrupted. Echo up next. Let's keep it going. Demoralize first. Nice. Full -4. Followed by bring him down. Oh, right, because firing it actually takes 2 AP. But we can still do this. Target down to -8. Next down the line out, which breaks the primary. And let's push Seymore through. He should make short work of the one just beyond. Yeah, he goes again right after the hammer guy. Who skips his turn because he's broken. And now we push the last. Disrupt that second call for reinforcements. Headshot. Though, sadly, we did not, in fact, disrupt, so I guess we'd best set up for Wave 3. Or that could happen. The enemies could be shattered. Not entirely sure what triggered that, but it certainly saved some time. If not lives, since, once again, they've immediately keeled over. Larthier shakes off the remnants of his trance and looks around at the carnage. Your enemies chose an opportune moment to attack, and still they suffered a defeat. The ritual was not disrupted. Thank you. I heard the songs of the deaths. Well, good. I'm glad. I hope that this counts as sufficient proof that I am, in fact, trying to make this unlikely partnership work. Yes. The subject of our agreement is concluded. Larthier casts a look at the excavation site. But my path on this world has only just begun. I can continue it with you. Well, Lar, that certainly sounds amenable, assuming, of course, that we're past the point of petty recriminations and holding back information from one another. If we want this to be an actual partnership, then it needs to go both ways. I know you Aldari have issues when it comes to us lowly monkeys, but you think you can possibly set that aside? Actually give this thing a shot? Yes. It is settled. As long as our paths run in parallel, I will be there to guide you on the right course at any crossroads. Larthier raises his hands and removes his helmet. For the first time you behold not a cold, impassive mask, but a living face, an inhuman countenance with black eyes. Henceforth we are allies, small creature. May Hoek show us our true path. Indeed. And Emperor protects, I guess. Quest complete. Let's loot these bodies and then go find our missing Millicentilia. I suspect she'll turn up now that the sisters' agents have been dispatched. And these guys also have Fusilier jackets, which at this point I'm going to assume doesn't really mean anything. I think it's just a convenient armor item to give them, as opposed to serving some deeper narrative purpose. But you know, the second it actually pops up in our clue journal, then we'll potentially reevaluate. For now, though, I think it's just GM Fiat. And nothing really notable on loot, unless it's on the guy who was calling for reinforcements. The long las kind of caught my eye, but I'm pretty sure that's identical to the one we started with, which we haven't actually used. We've been rocking the ballistic sniper rifle the whole time. Though I will say, there are some interesting differences there. The ballistic rifle does more raw damage, but the long las, or las weapons in general in Dark Heresy. Why are you wearing Ogren armor? Have lower base damage, but do bonus armor damage, so they're great for trimming off excess armor. I think you're going to have to do another pass on loot distribution. I mean, this is just the alpha, so I'm sure a lot of it's probably placeholders right now. And yeah, nothing notable on loot. Just vendor trash and XP. Which we'll certainly take. Let me just double check something real quick. Yeah, lower base damage, but then huge armor damage. And they're also quick, which I did not realize. Long las makes for a more mobile fighting style. Something to keep in mind moving forward. we've got them both slotted. Might as well swap them out as circumstances warrant. Hey, there she is. Also, these bozos. And Maul, I see you hiding back there. What's up, bud? You try to make an Ogryn say Mistress Millicentilia. Then you'll know why. Hey, Maul, what's up? The Ogryn stares at you for the longest time before finally coming to a conclusion. Seen you before. That you have, my friend. So how was the trip over? Uneventful, I hope. I was walking from Barrens, and then they started shooting at me. It tickled. Had to hit 'em. Hard. I got to the big water. There were little peoples. They shouted and threw rocks. I tried to hit 'em, but they all ran off. So I went back. That's where these found me. The Ogryn gives a vague wave of his hand. They not want to fight. They want to watch me break rocks. But Maul's not stupid. I asked, how do I get to the woman in black armor? Now I'm here. The Ogryn falls silent, apparently stunned by his own eloquence. Well, I'm glad it all worked out. Hopefully worth the trip. How have things been since you got here? Food's good. Lady Baron said carry crates. Better than watching, I says. Lady Baron, slightly awkward. Sure you don't want to call her Baroness, or maybe just Mistress? Though that feels kind of awkward too. Who's charge? They're Baron. Maul concludes his explanation and looks at you disapprovingly for your obliviousness. You know what, Maul? You are absolutely correct. I apologize. I do have a tendency to overthink things. I mean, now you understand why I brought you on board. Have fun. Mistress? Do you have anything to report? I have no time for idle exchanges. No? Not even with that new Ogryn I sent over? I thought it might help. If you are referring to that lumbering slab of meat whose vocabulary is limited to the words hit and eat, my people found him hopelessly lost on the border between the field camp and Merisportum. Admit it, you gave the Ogryn complicated instructions just to see what would happen. Regardless, I'll find a use for the abhuman. He can lug things around, if nothing else. Uh-huh. Happy to help. And apparently I cannot bring up the Sisters' assassins. Hopefully that's something else they might address, though, I mean, I guess, in retrospect. What would you really expect to get out of that? She'd probably just dance around it like she does with pretty much everything else. Not to mention, of course, that, she actually wasn't that happy when we first arrived. So it could have just as easily been an attempt to also get rid of, us or Larthir, whom she already sees as something of a liability. You know, she was pretty quick to fob him off on us once he had outlived his usefulness to her. I suppose, ultimately speaking, we really shouldn't trust either of them. I mean, we're working with them both now, but our master is someone else entirely. It's, Lord Inquisitor Anton Zerb. Oh my. Okay, well, you know, right off the bat, I'm going to say that looks pretty peculiar. Hybrid tech trees with servitors suspended from them. Oh, yep, and then that right there, I'm going to guess, is a full-on Skitarii connected to a generator. Okay, let's take this one step at a time. This odd-looking structure appears to serve as a signpost of sorts. Danger lies along the path to the left. while the right path has been deemed safe. Are you sure about that? Because I am not so certain, based on what I'm seeing. Then again, I suppose if that sign was left by Kroot, it would be intended for other Kroot, not necessarily for delicious humans. Which might mean the path on the left is actually safe for humans, but not for Kroot. Assuming that this is perhaps some... Ooh, hello. Psytrace. And Slumbering Guardian. Yes, so that is sounding like a branching security network. We see some pretty conspicuous cogitators over yonder. Though we're not quite there just yet. Psytrace. So what's going on over here? Step back, or I'll have to explain it to you in your own language. I'll die because of my own mistake. The irony. I'm dead now. Well, that was weird. The mark on the rock looks unusual, as if the stone briefly turned into lava, then froze, leaving behind a scorched groove. Sounds like plasma? Or maybe a hot-shot las pistol? Scene of the crime. Okay, so it sounds like our man Skag may in fact be dead. A hazy vision revealed two opposing figures. The first struck the second with a shot, but was knocked down. Strange trajectory. It seems he was firing at someone significantly taller than himself. Most likely Kroot, who are just over yonder. Also kind of looked like one, though I wouldn't rule out Aeldari. Death was unexpected for the Monkey. His final sensations were astonishment and vexation. Melted rock on an outcropping reveals the trace of an unusual shot. The trajectory of the shot suggests the shooter was aiming at an opponent who was significantly taller. Before falling, the individual in the vision experienced surprise and regret, as if not expecting such an outcome. Interesting, interesting. I do wonder why there would be a psychic trace, though. Millicentilia didn't say anything about Skag being a psyker, which might imply his killer was. Can Kroot be psychic? Can't say I'm all that familiar. They weren't really a thing back in 3rd edition. If not, that would lean us back towards Aeldari. Roaring Fear. Each target affected by shockwave shots suffers -1 morale. Oh, nice. Another way to demoralize foes. Yeah, that was actually really effective, that last fight. Definitely something we should lean into. Though again, I do hope in the final game that not just straight up killing everyone does somehow play into the narrative, you know? Though I do also understand that would be a huge amount of extra work. And I don't know if we really want to mess with all this today. Ooh, but I will definitely grab that. That looks like a data pad. Yes, inactive data slate. The data slate is protected by security protocols. Without the right data stick key, it is useless. Registering incoming connection with the discovered data slate. Initiating scan for possible sources. Confirming signal strength data. Ah, we're doing this again. Okay. Deep scratches and cracks on the screen of the data slate distort your reflection. The corroded casing is covered in grime, but beneath it, you notice a small slot for a data stick key. Alright, I don't want to mess with the tech tree today, so we'll avoid anything that has a skill check attached. And we will definitely not pull down any bodies. but we will have a peek. The barely audible creak of joints and dim glow of ocular lenses reveal that the hanged figure is a slumbering guardian, ready to awaken at any moment. Implication, of course, being that they are in fact still active, they're just dormant at this particular moment. Shattered data slate. Plus something new on the scene. Shattered data slate. Found near the escarpment at the edge of the swamp, the fractured screen shows an incoming intermittent radio signal. Encrypted data is likely stored within. A suitable data stick key is required for extraction. So yes, let's stay focused on that. It is entirely possible the two might end up overlapping, but we'll worry about that if and when it happens. For now, we'll just see if we can pursue this signal, which we do seem to be getting... Wait. Just trying to figure out which direction we're headed. Oh, here we go. Studying the source of the outgoing signal. Observed match with the data slate's frequency. Insignificant. Right. Barking up the wrong tree. Should have twigged that. Well, I'm not stumped just yet. We're still getting a signal. Oh, nope. Now we're out of range, so it's somewhere back this way. Something over here. Built into the rock is an inconspicuous Vox terminal with a miniature hololithic vid screen. There is a round hole between the screen and the grill of the Vox speaker. The terminal is ancient and its design peculiar. There are no keys for inputting a password, no recognizable control levers, power cables, or generator batteries. Most of the mechanism is likely buried deep within the rock, and its activation will trigger a process with unpredictable consequences. Through the dirt that has thoroughly clogged up the roughly finger-sized opening, you manage to catch the glint of the metal spikes that serve as contacts. Interesting. Roughly finger-sized, you say? Well, given the metal contacts, I'm going to assume it's not for actual fingers. Likely something similar to the data stick key, or possibly an augmetic finger. Might even be, well, no, Rufinus's augmetics for his leg, not his arm. Commissar's Cap. The target of the wearer's voice of command gains +1 morale. Nice and simple. And, okay, the detection noises we're hearing are these. As we pass by active guardians, we're pinging them. Though they all have the same description, so no point in fussing with them until we're ready. We get signal. Main screen turn on. Scanning the area. Fragments of a human body have been identified in the sedimentary layers of the toxic swamp. With a sickening squelch, a human torso emerges from the swamp's filth, devoid of legs, arms, or even a head. Patches of gray crust are visible on the skin. The clean areas are coated in a layer of slick mucus, through which faint, barely recognizable symbols can be seen. The stench is no better than the sight. Rufinus skag, I presume? Aluminum tattoos are kind of a dead giveaway. Though actually, no, I guess maybe not, because the Loomers, the Baron's men, they did go out of their way to make sure we knew they also have aluminum tattoos. Judging by the state of the tissue, it has been here for some time. Dismembered post-mortem. The internal organs, if I may. A peony crouches, nudging the remains slightly. Internal organs remain intact, partially replaced with augmentations, none of which have been removed. My finding: a violent death with no accompanying looting. Noted. Leans us back towards a non-human killer. Waterlogged fabric peels from shriveled skin, trailing thin strands of gelatinous muck. From the clavicle down toward the absent forearm, fine electu lines stretch. A complex, augmetic tattoo. Those with knowledge often store critical information this way, rather than on data slates. The functional section of the electu remains on the missing limb. If recovered, its data might still be restored. Okay, so we can't say this is Skag just yet. We'll need to find at least his forearm. Though his head certainly wouldn't hurt. No signs of bloodshed or struggle. The torso was brought here after dismemberment. A step away from the body, something glints in the filth. You retrieve a broken injector, its contents still partially preserved. Likely dislodged from the victim's pocket during transport. A few drops of black viscous liquid remain at the bottom of the broken ampoule. It gives off a sharp chemical and ammonia smell. Probably safe to assume that's Gergesum, which might imply this is in fact a ganger, since they're the ones we know who primarily use the stuff. The pockets of what remains of the fine quality coat are packed with silt and bubbling mire. A shoulder holster sits empty, its former occupant long since removed. The wear on the leather suggests frequent use, likely a compact, single-handed sidearm. The expensive coat is a bit more telling. The gangers up at the Baron's base even mentioned wishing they had a coat or boots as nice as ours. So that does make it a lot more likely that this is in fact Rufinus. Or at least someone who had his coat. Well, according to our journal, he's just straight up dead. But I still have my doubts. This really does feel like it could easily end up being a pretty elaborate, staged death. If we assume Occam's razor, the most logical takeaway is that this is in fact Rufinus Skag, even if we do currently lack any sort of positive identifying features. Body in the mire, the torso, part of the left shoulder, and a shattered pelvis. This is all that remains of the mutilated body. Patches of gray crust are visible on the skin. The clean areas are coated in a layer of slime, beneath which a barely recognizable symbol can be discerned. A match, 89.7%, has been identified between the pigmented section of dermal tissue and the previously recorded brand of Inquisitor Millicentilia's agents. The body is that of the missing agent. Right. Judging by the absence of any signs of struggle around the corpse, the individual was killed and dismembered elsewhere. The empty holster found on the body is designed for a compact one-handed weapon. Said weapon was not found in the vicinity. Okay, still not definitive, but 90% of the way there. Look at these deep wounds. They were made using something sharp. By someone fast, confident, cold-blooded. The work of a real pro. The wounds are deep incisions made with no sign of hesitation. The killer acted methodically, and with precision. Kroot, Eldari, Drukhari. Oh, wait, right, we had another research option there. A peony, I would assume. Yes. Notice these characteristic scabs, a symptom of ash fever. The disease causes the person's internal organs and dermis to dry out, inevitably and painfully, over a very long time. Gray scabs on the skin, a symptom of ash fever, an incurable disease that causes the flesh and internal organs to wither, causing ceaseless agony. Oh, interesting. Okay, so if we are in fact assuming that this is Rufinus Skag, it also indicates he was suffering from a terminal, painful illness. which could potentially explain his interest in Gergesum, assuming that it is, in fact, something that dampens pain. I'm not sure if we actually know that. We've heard it keeps you awake, but not really much else. Let's see if we can verify. The sample partially matches the composition of commonly found chemtoxins within the HAB zone, 46%. The injector contains residual traces of the combat stimulant Gergesum. It blocks pain, induces insomnia, and stimulates adrenaline production, accompanied by excessive perspiration with a pungent, acidic odor. Right, okay, so painful chronic condition plus newly discovered local combat stim that deadens pain. The signal from the data slate led to a body in the mire. The device's owner was dead. Oh, right. Yeah, that tracks. For some reason, I was thinking it was actually leading us to the actual data stick, but I suppose the data slate's owner makes more sense. Which means we've still got a data stick out here somewhere. Also a bunch of errant limbs, and a whole bunch of new questions. Rufinus Skag, confirmed dead. Dismembered in the Baron style, but not put on public display, seemingly killed by a non-human. The most obvious culprits being the Kroot, right nearby. Though that would beg the question of why they wouldn't just eat him. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now, but hopefully we'll find some answers next time. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to EREB23, Revenant, Alois, Arrow Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.